Welcome to the new trucking standard brought to you by the Federation of Professional Truckers. We're here to rebuild the industry from the driver's seat through real talk, shared stories, and straight up education. Glad to have you rolling with us. Now let's hammer down.
All right, folks, we back on part two here. Took a little bit of a break there, kind of got ourselves put back together and stuff. We're going to get more into the what I guess you want to call the damage that they're doing. Matt kind of wanted me to kind of get into this, so I'm going to let him kind of.
Let me recap. I want to recap the last episode real quick. Know who you're following, folks. Really do the background research. Take 5 minutes. Okay. Cupcake said it just a little while ago. You've got 1,000 different search engines. Go find out about these people. Please pay attention. Get rid of the emotion. Put the emotion on the side burner for a few minutes and let the intellectual side of your brain kick in and really listen to what's going on. We're going to get deeper into what the damage is here in just a minute. But one of the other things, every truck, no matter where you are or who the truck driver is, whether it's a flip phone, whether it's a smartphone, whether you got a tablet in the truck, or like Mike and I, we carry our laptops everywhere. You have the ability to look certain things up. A lot of the changes that we can make can be made within the industry without actually going to the government, because the government, the laws, the regulations are already in place. It requires a phone call. Okay, this whole bathroom usage, all you have to do is know the location that you're at, the name of the location, a phone number, and an address, and make a phone call to OSHA and make sure you have proof. Okay, don't just call them just to tick off a receiver or a shipper or a truck stop if the bathrooms are down. Don't do that. Okay, that's just ridiculous. Have proof. Okay, take some pictures. If somebody tells you, I'm sorry, we don't have a bathroom for truck drivers, most of these individuals have a name. All you got to do is politely say, can I please get your name? Not every time you'll get an answer, but a name is a name. Make a phone call. Call OSHA. All you got to do is call OSHA in that state and say, listen, I'm at this location. They're telling us there's no bathrooms for a truck driver. They don't have a porta potty available. OSHA will handle it. Believe me, when OSHA takes very serious anything that comes across their table. They're not a joke. I've seen OSHA react on far less information. So make those phone calls. Have it in your phone. It's not hard. Program OSHA in your phone. Have the email address on hand. Have the mailing address. Send an email. Make a phone call. You have fixed the problem. Same with broker transparency. You talk. Everybody's upset about broker transparency. If you're dealing with a broker, read your contract. First and foremost, read your contract. Don't sign it and send it back within 2 minutes without ever reading what it actually states in the small print or in anything.
Well, and to report
make sure you understand.
To report on that, if you read your contract, if you go back and this is any contracts that have been signed.
Right.
This one out here. This is one thing that me and Leander talked about. And he notices the same thing I've noticed, that nobody's reporting this. If you read your contracts and that contract does not explicitly state what rights it is that you are waiving, you need to take that contract and send that to the complaint department at the FMCSA, because that is one of the rules that it's in there. And because that the courts have found that it has to be explicitly stated, that contract doesn't count for nothing. And so you need to report that. Go to the complaint department. Yeah. If you look at one of the articles that I wrote that's on the FOPT.org, our website, okay? You go to there. There's a spot down there. It literally shows you the link for the complaints. Send that contract into the FMCSA. Let the FMCSA see the contract, that it does not explicitly state what right it is that you're waiving. If the FMCA gets enough of these complaints, they act. Because if not, and something bad happens, they get egg all over their face. And let's be honest here. The government doesn't want egg all over their face. It's no different than like what he's talking about with the OSHA situation and the bathroom access. If you go through and you don't have access to a bathroom, you are considered a worker. If you look the definition up, you are considered a worker as a truck driver there, whether you are loading or unloading, delivering or receiving, however you want to word that. If you're there, you are considered a worker, and they do have to allow bathroom access. Now, that doesn't mean they have to let you in the plant. But that does mean there should be a porta-john somewhere that you have access to. If not,
absolutely,
like Matt says, sounds to me like you need to pick up the phone, you need to Google OSHA, and you probably ought to go in there, complaint or some sort of that, and it will show up, you know.
See that, and this is what we're talking about, folks. This is education. Okay, we're educating. We're trying to tell you that a lot of these problems that everybody uses to get your emotions high are easily fixed within our industry. We don't need the actual government to do it because it's already there. So it just takes you making a phone call or sending an email. So we've got those covered. And thank you, Mike. I didn't know that we actually had the I must have overlooked it. I didn't know we actually had that
one of the
complaint department on.
It's in one of the citations. I'll actually, with this one here, if we pull a clip or whatever, and also when I upload this, I'll go back through and I'll pull that link and I'll put that in the comment section on our Spotify.
That would probably really help. So, ladies and gentlemen, the broker side, OSHA side, listen, this is interior. This is within the industry. This is not hard to fix. We can do this without all this mumbo jumbo that everybody's trying to tell you that we absolutely need.
Well, it's a little different than we talk about the English language proficiency.
Right.
It's education.
Yeah.
We don't need to remove these men and women. What we need to do is educate them on how to speak English.
That's exactly my point.
So
listen, and that's exactly that goes right to the talking point I was actually just going to put on here is educate yourself, folks. Don't react. Go research and then act. Okay. Don't just react because somebody's telling you something. Don't react because we're telling you something. Go research what we're telling you. If we didn't research it, if we didn't have some kind of backing to it, we would not be putting it out there to anybody. And listen, if you've got a question for us, really, and Mike and I will dive, we'll dig. We have another one, Pablo. We have another one with Laura. If we don't have the answer, we'll find one for you. If you have a question for the Federation of Professional Truckers, and I don't care if you're following us, if you're not following us, send us an email at wethefopt@gmail.com. That's wethefopt@gmail.com. Put your question in there. We will go take a look at it, and we will make sure that we have a correct answer for you. And whether it be the next podcast, the next live we do, we'll make sure that we get your name out there, and we'll get your question out there, and hopefully we can have an answer for you that maybe you're having a hard time trying to find the
or you
bare bones truth.
I might be able to, if I got a time, I'm able to email you back with my information, just have you call me. And we'll talk about it. I might be able to find it. And I'm not afraid to have a conversation with anybody. I'm really not.
Right.
You know, so.
And lastly, to sum up this last one so we can get moving into our this episode, don't act on emotion, folks. Don't let people play your emotions and utilize you for any kind of gain, no matter what it is, whether it be financial, a personal, climb up the ladder. Don't let somebody play with your emotions in order to profit in one way or another. Now, you brought up greed last episode. Greed isn't only financial, folks. Greed has a very expandable category group. It's anything for a personal agenda for one individual to succeed while several don't. That's greed. So really step back, ask the questions, put the emotion aside, know who you're following, know why you're following them, and listen to them. Are they educating you? Are they giving you real life examples of what the law states or what the regulation is? Or are they digging into this stuff? What are they actually doing? Where's your money going? If you happen to send them $5, $10, if you happen to send them, Mike and I have both done it, where it's $500 plus to an organization, what are they doing with this money? If they're coming back at you and stall techniques, or I'm sorry, right now we don't have that available, they're not going to have it available. You need to step back and stop letting them play you. And with that, that basically summarizes, for the most part, a very short summary of our last episode. And I want to get back to what you hear, Mike. I'm going to quiet down because this is where I think you have a lot more expertise, my friend. We are seeing these organizations and these individuals, and they're popping up at almost on a regular basis. It's almost like every 2 or 3 months now we're seeing somebody new. How much damage are they actually doing to the industry?
Well, so I mean, if you want to talk about damage, okay, and we want to talk about what's going on there, one thing I want to talk about with damage, because we started talking about this, is I'm going to do a little brief segue just because it's something that's been on my mind lately, and it's about railroad crossings. Okay, there is a little thing, and I looked up the image here on my phone because I don't want to do a share screen, because a lot of times share screen for some reason doesn't seem to work for me. But I'm going to put this up here, okay? And can everybody see this image here? I'm going to let it zoom in and correct itself. Now, there we go. Every railroad crossing, you will see a little blue sign that looks like that. They sometimes look like this. If you were to see the picture here, you're going to see the little sign. It's up like that. Some of them are also, they're attached to the actual crossing gates. We have been seeing a lot lately of different trucks getting hit on railroad tracks because they're getting stuck, they're getting hung up, they're getting broke, they're breaking down, whatever the case is. All you have to do, if you are the driver of that truck, if you are someone there in a car and you see that, immediately get out, get your cell phone and call the number. Give them the number of the crossing. This will literally go through, and they can radio to any train that's in that area ahead of time and get that train to stop, because they'll know that this train here is fixing to go across this crossing at such and such. And oh, wait a minute, they're about 6 miles away. Radio that engineer, please, and tell them to stop that train right now. One, that's potentially going to stop a train derailment. Two, that could save both the conductor and engineers' lives that are on those trains, because we want to see everybody make it home. Two, save the life of the truck driver or the team mate that truck driver also has in the truck. That is going to save a crap ton of damage, not only to the railroad crossing arms, but damage to the truck and the trailer. If you have a train derailment, that could cause potentially millions of dollars of damages and cleanup and things of that nature for the environment and everything else. So I just kind of wanted to say that real quick. It's kind of been on my mind lately. I see some of these things come through on like YouTube or, Facebook reels, Instagram reels, TikTok videos, whatever. I see them all. And I'm like, man, how is it that people don't do it? I'm like, do people really not know what to do if they get to, the other thing is this, if you are going over one of those crossings and that crossing is rougher than an old log road, call in and report it. If you're having to cross a railroad tracks at 5 miles an hour and it's still trying to throw you out of the seat, that crossing needs to be fixed. Once they have enough of the reports on it, they are required to fix it. It can't. If one of them comes through, they are allowed to kind of go, okay, we're going to maybe see, because we all know that people like to make phone calls just to be jerks. Not that there's anything wrong, but they got in their feelings and this emotion that we're talking about now. They get in their emotions and that. When you have enough, and we see a lot of these railroad tracks, there's 5, 10, 15 trucks going over these areas because, one, it could be a shipper that you're going into, and you just 15 trucks pull in there. And those tracks are so rough that, I mean, these guys and gals are watching their trailers bounce across it as it's going. Call it in.
I agree.
Call it in.
Yep.
And the thing of it is if you're sitting there waiting to get loaded for 35 minutes, there's no reason you don't have time to go through and call it in. Literally. So there you go. So anyways, to digress back into the damage that these influencers are causing, with the government processes and procedures and understanding or lack thereof, I did make myself an outline to try to stay on topic. So you're going to see me turn a little bit to my screen here, kind of like I talked about in the first episode. Keep my squirrel moments to a minimum here. We failed miserably, Matt, just so you know.
Sometimes,
you did a pretty good job
I know.
on the first one to keep me somewhat in line, but anyways.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time with this one because I ain't seeing what you're seeing, so I'm gonna have to second guess this one.
You're just probably going to have to say, "Is that on the list, there, bro?" The thing of it is, so to talk about it, the first one I want to talk about the core problem is, and that's confusing the virality with the legitimacy, and treating government access like a confrontation and not procedure, and teaching truckers emotion instead of processes. I seen on this one that we talked about in the first one and going to Washington and stuff, and that literally like goes right into all of this. Some of the stuff that we've seen happening, the yelling at the president, the trying to. I'm here to tell you all. Everybody remembers what happened here back during the election, and somebody trying to unalive the president, or I should say, how do I say that? Because he was a president at one time. He was running for presidency.
The nominee.
What is a presidential nominee? How do we do
presidential?
That? I don't even
presidential know. Candidate.
Presidential candidate. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Presidential candidate at the time. Somebody tried to literally took off.
Right.
And to think that they're going to let anybody just walk up in there because they're yelling from a fence at this individual to saying things like the American truckers need you. You need to make Congress act. They're not going to let you in.
No.
There is a process that has to happen for anybody to go see any cabinet member, any congressional member, the president, vice president. I understand that a lot of people think that you can just walk up and talk to any of these people, or that you're going to make a phone call to their office and you're going to talk to them. No, that's not what happens. Every congressional member, every cabinet member, and the president and vice president, they all have political science interns answering phones, answering letters, answering emails. Part of our tax dollars actually go to pay for this. This is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with what happened there goes into the second one with the hollering. That is acting like a confrontation instead of following the procedure. One, you have to schedule an appointment. It's like this isn't the emergency room at the hospital where you're walking in because you've literally like hurt yourself extremely bad, or you're having a heart attack or something. You have a conversation with someone about political ideology and what you have going on. So you need to make sure that you're going through and you're following the processes and procedures, because if you don't, you hurt the rest of anything else that could potentially happen here. Because when they look at it and they go, do these guys even know what they're doing? Do they even understand? Have they even taken time to educate themselves on what needs to happen? And if you're not even willing to take the time to educate yourself on the process and procedures of how it works, if you can't even throw that kind of respect, because that's literally a sign of disrespect to not literally, that would literally be like me trying to tell a doctor how to do their job just because I think I've wrote a textbook about anatomy and physiology.
Right.
It doesn't work. You literally have to go in and you have to follow the process and procedures that are out there. Part of this is one for the protection of the individual, because let's face it, the president of the United States and a lot of their cabinet members are worldwide famously known.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Go look on any news media outlet, and I think Donald Trump right now, his face is all over across the world. Everybody knows about it. You'll see it in Russia. If you speak Russian and you watch it, they're going to talk about it. It's no different than over here. Vladimir Putin. He's the Russian president, but by God, everybody and their brother knows his name over here in America. He's absolutely famously known. And we cannot. You're literally going to go through, and you think that you're just going to walk up there. They know nothing about you. They have no idea what your intentions are.
Right.
We've already literally seen, like, there obviously the JFK situation, that man and what happened with him there. That was terrible there back in November of the 1963. You go through. Ronald Reagan had an attempt on him.
Ronald Reagan. Yeah.
I think didn't
There were
Gerald Ford
several.
have an attempt on him?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Lincoln obviously he
I
had
believe so.
Lincoln had there
Yeah.
was an attempt and a completion, no different than JFK. There's been many.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, and he wasn't even the president. He was just a man trying to make everything better for everybody and bring an entire country together, regardless of race, creed, religion, any of that. That's all. He was trying to bring people.
He was doing a heck of a job with it too.
Yeah, and this is the reason why the man, he had it going on, and for some people to do what they did,
absolutely.
Hell, we literally just had somebody that was a person on the conservative movement, literally here just a few months ago, got taken away from his wife and 2 young children in his 30s.
Right.
And you literally think that they're going to let you, they know not a thing about you, and you think they're going to let you get within arm's reach of the president? These people that have done some of the stuff they've done, they're 200 yards away with a high power rifle.
Oh, absolutely.
And you think they're going to let you get within arm's reach? That is complete and total disrespect to the office of the president, to the office of the vice president, and to the freaking office of the Secretary of Transportation. To think that you're going to, without making an appointment for them to know who you are, know what you are about, and to think that you're just going to have that's audacious. That's extremely audacious.
Oh yeah,
and that is right there. That is a confrontation instead of a procedure, because you're literally trying to surprise them, if you will. You're trying to just like, oh, I'm here now. You're going to talk to me. That's kind of confrontational when you look at the meaning of the term. So you have to follow stuff, and if you're not going to do it, that is an amount of disrespect that was shown to them and the office of those people. And when you do that, they look at you and they go, I want nothing to do with these people.
Well,
and I mean, again, look at the itinerary of the president to know that, I mean, he was literally on Fox News signing executive directives. And you think that he's going to stop signing an executive directive that literally dropped marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 to try to help out in a medical situation, with bringing the medical side in a little bit easier for some people and using it for the medicinal side. And you think he's going to stop for 5 minutes to talk to you when you haven't even made an appointment? You couldn't even look and see what he was doing.
Look at the group that backs him. The group that backs him is nothing but high emotion and high emotion.
I'm not going to say that. The reason I'm not going to say that is because I've had conversations with some of the people in there, and I've also had conversations with him. Yes, there is high emotion. Yes, there is intelligence. Unfortunately, they have allowed a lot of the emotion to cloud their intelligence. And I can tell you this. I fought professionally for a few years. Okay. A couple of the fights that I lost was because I was emotional.
Right.
I literally used to idolize Muhammad Ali or Cassius Clay before he moved over to the Islamic religion. Okay. And I idolized him, but it was the psychology, the war that he did, getting in the other fighter's head. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, you literally, because he knew emotion clouded judgment, emotion clouded critical thinking. And I literally, my trainers literally looked at me and said, look, bro, you messed up. You messed up. You let emotion get in your head. We've seen it. We kept trying to tell you, and you literally got emotional about this nonsense and took everything that this guy said as it was, like this was the gospel truth or something. And this is why you lost, because you allowed emotion to clear your judgment. So
I'm very well recognizing that. I understand that there's an intelligence over there. There is intelligence in several different locations. There's intelligence there. What I was referring to more was the fact that here you have an individual yelling outside the gate at Trump. And if they actually did any kind of background, for example, you got on a live, you got on that individual's live and you watched people egg on, don't stop, keep going, fight, fight, fight. The government themselves are looking at that going, okay, this is a high tense, high emotional freaking situation right now. Do you really think you're getting a confrontation with the president of the United States? You're not even going to get a confrontation with anybody but probably the U.S. Marine Corps.
Well, I can tell you right now, you know what the thing of it is? Almost anybody that was probably in one of those lives, and since obviously we all know TikTok records the lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there, and I'm sure I know for a fact that they have people that they have put in to watch what goes on in all of those groups.
Right.
They aren't going to let a single one of them go now. I can tell you right now, as soon as they decide that they might want to try to go through and make a thing, I'm willing to bet most of them in there will probably never see the light of day of being able to sit face to face with a congression, with the president, the vice president, or the secretary of transportation. They might get an audience with their congressional member. They might. But I do not see, because of that right there, the egging on of it, the lack of research, the lack of understanding of the processes and procedures, and not even trying. When we all know that some of them that in there were egging them on love to use ChatGPT. They wrote their little documents with ChatGPT. They do everything with ChatGPT. And you couldn't take 5 seconds and ask ChatGPT how to get vetted to go see the president or vice president.
Right.
But you also couldn't take time to go through and just ask what was going on in that week. How did you not know what was going on that weekend? AmFest has been scheduled forever. They were all out there.
All you got to do is watch a little bit of news.
Yeah.
All you got to do is watch a little bit of news.
Well,
you were saying just a little bit ago.
Go through here to this right here.
Yeah.
Go through it. All you got to do is Google what is the president or vice president? What might be going on this weekend? You know, if you're wanting to go the weekend to the 18th or the 21st, do you think that the president doesn't already have stuff scheduled out a month in advance? Yeah, they do.
Sometimes 6.
They already know. There's summits that are being planned. Sorry. There are summits that are being planned. And these are where leaders of countries are getting together to talk about worldly problems, not just American problems, but worldly problems.
Right.
So, yeah. To move on from some of that, you know, since I've chased about 2 rounds.
Well, you were saying just a little bit ago, in our first in the first part of this, right now, the trucking industry is being laughed at.
Yes, because of this
we have individuals that are literally being laughed at right now. And, you know, if you really put your mind to that basically unfortunately, what it's doing is the government side is looking at us and going, oh, these folks are just about as dumb as a brick.
Yeah, especially when you see some of them reading from ChatGPT. When you can't even formulate your own words and sentences into paragraphs and stuff, and you're literally having to read from ChatGPT because you struggle with speaking or whatever, they're not going to go through and pay much attention. Because the thing of it is this, when it comes down to it, and you decide that you're going to go sit and if they were to let you go sit and have a conversation with the president, the vice president, the secretary of transportation, if you can't formulate numbers to show and prove your statement, like, hey, I make $2.46, I need $2.46 a mile or more because that's what my operating costs are. If you just go in there and say, well, you know, all these brokers are making all this money and we can't make any money, blah, and they look at you and go, well, so how much does it take for you to operate your truck? Mm-hmm. And you can't actually look at them and say, well, it costs me $2.50 a mile to operate my truck right now. And when you say that, though, they're going to ask you for proof. And if you can't at least maybe have an Excel spreadsheet on your phone or have your laptop with you, or maybe used a printer and printed off all this to say, here, okay, so my expenses are this, and here's a breakdown, you know. So for the last year, here's monthly, quarterly breakdowns. You can see all of this right here, you know, yada, yada, yada. If you can't show that, they're not going to talk to you. And since we all know that some of these folks are company drivers, they have no expenses. They have personal expenses, but so does there are what 330 million people in this country, and I think
Yeah.
it's like what
Yeah, I think that was, it was
65%
pretty
is
darn that was pretty darn close for right off the top of your head, 'cause I actually looked that up like a week ago. That's pretty damn close.
yeah. Well, and then it's like what 65% of them are 18 or older,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. So we'll figure there's what we'll
Mhm.
just say there's roughly 200 million people that are
Right.
of adult age. Okay,
Yeah,
they all have expenses called utilities, car payments, house payments, rent,
yeah,
whatever.
yep.
That's okay. And so what? You
That's
took
life.
you've taken you took a job that doesn't pay you enough money for the lifestyle that you want. Well, what have you done to try to better yourself? Did you go back to
Right,
college? Have you tried to get a degree? Have you tried to move out of
right.
trucking? Or have you just because you absolutely love to go trucking, have you decided to just live within your means? And your means at 48 cents a mile is about $72,000 a year gross.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
based off of 3,000 miles a week.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we figured that out
Yeah.
just last week ago.
Yeah. So that's
Yep. Yeah,
$72,000 a year, which they're going to look at you and say, you make above 48 cents a mile. So you make above $72,000 a year and you can't make it. But we have E5 and lower. Well, no, E6. I think it's E6. E6 and
E6,
lower.
E6.
E6 and lower make $72,000 a year or less, and they make it. And we have a crap ton of military members that are E6 or below, because E6
And
is where
living
you
off
get to
base.
that, and you get E6. That's about where you're making $72,000 a year with your BAH and your monthly
Yeah,
allotment. Now, mind you,
right.
obviously, when we get into some that have the hazard pays and stuff from being overseas
Yeah,
and all of that, but that they're going to look at you on that and go, so when we send all these infantrymen over to overseas and they're gone for a year on deployment from their families, and the best that they get is maybe a video call with their loved
yeah,
ones. But you go home every 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or you go home every weekend. And wait a minute, hold on. You're making as much or more than them. You go home every weekend and you're upset. I
yeah,
think you need to learn to live within your means. Because let's just be honest here. There's always been classes. There always will be classes.
always.
You're never going to stop that. It's as old as time.
No,
There's always been tribes. There's a chief in the tribe, and then there's a hierarchy in the tribe. Even if you go back to tribal living,
right.
1,000 years ago. I mean, what was it? 250 years ago, you still had tribes in this country that were living that way. Before it was even a country.
And you didn't even move up the ladder. I mean, if you weren't in the bloodline, you didn't move up the ladder.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only way you could do anything there was to be a great warrior. A lot of times,
Pretty
it's
much.
service based. You were putting your life on the line
Service, yeah,
to
service
protect
based.
the
Exactly.
tribe. Okay,
Exactly.
So, but when we go through and we look at this and we move on here from that, what I wrote here was when you look at like the cloud over access and how the social media rewards volume and outrage and not accuracy.
Right.
Show up and demand culture versus scheduled and vetted access. And how movements get hijacked into content strategies. Okay. Right there. We've talked about it. Social media, the
Sure
rewards
have.
that come out. And we literally talk about it. We see these, they get on here and they talk for 5 minutes in the morning while they're drinking a cup of coffee. And all they do is put a little something in your mind, but they've got 250,000 followers,
Mm.
Are they actually giving you all the information? No, they're not.
No.
They're giving talking points that a lot of them have learned from other people, and they're just regurgitating the information and using that information for their own personal agenda. It's not there to help. It's there to only help them, and they're only one that's gaining from it. There's not a whole other people that are gaining from what it is they're doing there. They've turned trucking into a hobby instead of what they do for a living. So, the and like the show up and demand. I hear people all the time, oh, we're going to go to Washington. We're going to go to Washington. The last time that I seen anybody do anything that went to Washington, and it's a lot of people refer to this in the 60s as the Million Man March, but it actually was not called that. But a lot of people know what I'm referencing here when I talk about how, they had the movement that went into Washington in the 60s. Okay. And what a lot of people reference it as the Million Man
March. Right.
That is how you're going to get attention. But the problem over here is this. We are in a different time and a different age now. And when you decide that you're going to come in, like we've talked about on a couple other podcasts, if you show up 15,000 strong in trucks to Washington, D.C., you're a threat.
You're a threat. Absolutely.
You're a threat.
You're not wrong. You're a big threat.
You're considered a threat. One, you're shutting down access potentially to the federal agencies from the military, who is also there not just to defend the country and its people, but also to help defend the government, because the government is ran by those people. If you shut down the loop around D.C. because you got 15,000 trucks there, you're a threat now. And they consider it that until you move that truck. And if you decide to move that truck, they're going to move it for you. And you're going to
what you just did was what you did was just barricade Washington, D.C.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is probably the dumbest move that you can do. And this is no different than the shutdown.
That's where I was about to go, the shutdown. What's going to happen with the shutdown? Yeah. You're going to see people like my old lady who work at the Children's Hospital that get deliveries on the daily. They're not going to get those deliveries anymore. So your hospitals are not going to be getting the food. They're not going to be getting the gauze and the medical supplies that they need to give injections or take care of wound care or any of that stuff, or give baths. You're not going to see that the oxygen being delivered, to be put into the oxygen tank so that you can have pure oxygen that helps people that have breathing problems and their, pulse ox levels are below 90. They need to be put on oxygen so that they actually get the proper oxygen enriched environment. You're not going to have any of that. So you literally are not going to. And the thing is this: you're not going to have any gasoline. You're not going to have any diesel, because everybody's going to bought it up at the pumps and they're going to have hoarded it. No different than they did the toilet paper during COVID.
Oh yeah.
So what's going to happen there is, well, you're going to shut the highways down, and the reason this is going to happen is this: you think you're going to shut it down with the trucks. No, what's going to happen is you're going to shut it down from military convoys, because we've all seen them, we've all passed them. Those trucks only do like 45, 50 mile an hour, even on the highway. And there's 35 of them all in one line.
Absolutely.
And you know what? A lot of us get mad about it. Like, oh God, we're in another military convoy. Well, yeah, you got slowed down for about 15 minutes. Oh, well, get over it. I've had to remind myself. Well, I'm just saying, I've had to remind myself, because one time I got held up at a shipper. They drug their feet for like 6 hours or whatever. And then I was trying to make up some time the best I could, because I'd given myself 6 hours leeway, because I knew the shipper potentially could have issues. And then I get out there and I'm making up time, and I ran into the convoy. Well, when I finally got my turn to start passing them boys and girls, I think it was my father, passed away now, but he taught me for years, or tried to teach me for years, the discretion is the better part of valor. And I was hooting and hollering and going on in my own damn head, in my own seat, about how this was bullshit. And then when I got going halfway through there, I went, you know what? They're just trying to do the same thing that I'm doing here and go to work. That's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to train and make sure that they're the best that they can be. To take one out of the Army's, mottos there from years ago. That's all they were doing. So, but that's what you're going to see. You're going to see the convoys, 35, 40 trucks going down the highway, and you're not going to get anywhere, because they're going to be the ones now moving the goods, because the government's not going to let it shut down like that. They learned in the 70s, when that strike went on in the 70s, that this was not a good thing to happen, because there was a lot of problem. And then now we are 50 years in the future. Trucking is even bigger than it was then, because of the way that the infrastructure has progressed, or lack thereof, over the years. So you're not going to
count the population boom.
Yeah, the population increase. So you got all of that. So there it is. But to kind of move on from that, credibility burn. How, and we've already kind of talked about this, is poor preparation skills, staffers, not mattering as much as being on camera, and getting labeled like we've talked about. You're not a serious stakeholder in this, because if you were a serious stakeholder, you would have known. Old Max put it out there. Old Uncle Max did. He put it out in the video I seen. The president's schedule for the day. I mean, it's right there. I already knew AmFest was going on. I mean, it popped up 14 times in my news feed on Facebook.
Right. Yeah, I saw it on. Saw it on the phone.
Was going
it kept popping up.
From the 18th to the 21st. It's a hot topic in the country because of what happened with Charlie. Charlie was the one that was supposed to be leading that, and now his wife Erica, widow Erica. I'm going to stay with wife. You know what?
Erica, stay with wife.
Wife Erica is now leading it. And I know there's a whole bunch of controversy that's going on with that nonsense, and that to me is nothing but nonsense. This is a woman I'm going to hope and pray that she is grieving over the fact of the loss of her husband and the fact that her children no longer have a father. I'm going to look that way. The rest of the nonsense and noise I'm hearing, I'm going to leave it as that it's noise. Because that's not,
That noise always follows. Follows some sort of, like this.
There's always conspiracy theorists that are out there.
Always.
So, but when you looked at it, poor preparation. You didn't look at schedules. You didn't check out what was going on. You had no idea where anybody was going. You literally, obviously, didn't take the time to go through. I mean, I made a video about what it takes to get vetted to go see any of these people. And the reason being is because it literally took about a whole 15 seconds to Google search the vetting process to go see the president, vice president of the cabinet. I mean, it's right there. It's right there. It's pretty simple.
Right.
Google is your friend, folks. So is Bing or DuckDuckGo. Use any research tool.
They're all there.
Any search engine can turn into the best research tool in America if all you got to do is just keep asking questions of it. And it'll keep
Take 5 minutes, go to the library.
There you go.
If you want to go old school, go to the library. It's all right there.
Well, the library also has computers that you can use for research. If you go through and you only see a book that was written 5 years ago and you're wanting to have more up-to-date information, because the best thing you can do, you go talk to a librarian about getting on a computer because you want to know what's going on. It is a wealth of knowledge. It really is. But when you do all of what you're doing, you literally just burned anything as far as us being serious stakeholders over here, because of the fact that you're going through and you ran over here, to go see this. Like, come on, guys. Can we just stop for 5 seconds? I mean, I think you and I both told him, don't do it, bro. Don't do it.
Well, we did it. He was already he was already en route, and we both told him in the live, and we got the recorded live to show it. You need to stop and just turn around or not go at all. You need to stay away from there. And we broke it down to the absolute bare bones of it and explained to him why you shouldn't be doing this. And
it was still ongoing, and I think it's going to be,
yeah.
We're still the part of it that I don't understand. And you know what? I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to move on.
He's got to, there are people that have a good heart, but they don't think through the action that they're
this is everybody that I'm looking at with that statement. Yeah. This just isn't the trip to DC.
Oh no,
this is the nonsense that we hear about wage and rate floors and earning caps and all of that.
Yeah,
and the market restructuring. Basically, you mean even playing field or communism, where everybody is making the same. You want because this is the thing. Let's be honest here. If you go through and you put a rate floor down and you say that it has to be moved at this price, no less, you can move it for more, but we're not. Other businesses that use transportation services as a way to move their goods are in business for a profit.
Yeah.
So they're going to turn around and say, I'm only going to move it for that minimum. That's it. That's all I'm paying because that's all I'm required to pay. We see it happen a lot of times now in different industries just under the Fair Labor Standards Act, the FSLA that was written in the 30s. Right. Now, mind you, was it written correctly? No. They should have attached it to the inflation so that as the dollar value changed, so did the minimum wage. And it should have been
Right.
based off of the previous year's averages. So, but anyways, we still see this happen. You still see they're providing a service, and I understand that they're providing a service, but all my point here is we still see these people these employers that say minimum wage says $7.25. That's all I'm paying.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm on.
Well, we live in a country that is a capitalist country.
Yeah.
If you don't know that, if you're an individual, a group, an association, whatever it is that you are, and don't understand that you are living in a capitalist country and putting base rates as law will never pass, you really shouldn't be doing anything anyway.
Well,
that's high school education, 7th or 8th grade.
This is the thing, and I said it. You read it last night in one of the ones that I brought you and Pablo in. That was, and they said the same thing I did. If you were to get these wage and rate floors and these earning caps put in place, you're talking 20, 25 years. You're talking 20, 25 years because once it gets, if it were to be placed into Congress, then there's going to be challenges. So if it passes, we'll say it passes committee, it passes the House of Representatives, it passes committee, it passes the Senate, it gets signed off on by the president, there's now going to be a crap ton of legal challenges that are going to be brought forth against that I think it has to start, even at that point, it still starts at the district level. So a lawsuit's going to get brought at the district courts, and then it's going to go appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals, and then potentially go to the Supreme Court. And I'm telling you right now, when you start, you're messing with billionaires' pocketbooks, and they have attorneys on standby for attorneys on standby that are on a standby for other attorneys.
And it's more than that too.
And they're going to go through and they're going to challenge the law. So you're looking at a law that you're trying to get something made into a law that's going to be challenged to 20 to 25 years out. If we're going to be honest here, the easiest way to fix the industry is from inside. Because look,
which is what we've been saying from day one.
Everybody wanted to scream about how they wanted the government. We want nationalized health care. Look how bad the government has messed this up. Yeah. Now we literally went from where people were getting subsidies to now the subsidies are gone. To now we have people that's insurance costs have went from $200 a month to $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And this is how the government controls stuff, folks. This is the ignorance level that happens. And you think that by bringing them in and following these plans that you have in place and that they're going to follow them to a T, they couldn't even figure it. Took them 48 days or 45 days, whatever it was, to figure out how to get the government back open again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is just based off of the same problem with the healthcare problem that everybody wants to be nationalized. Right. These ignoramuses up here, there's 537 of them. They can't figure out how to wipe their own butt half the time. Let's just be real honest. Because unless they're getting paid $100,000 to do it, they don't want to mess with it. I mean, this is where the super PACs come in. So let's just be honest here. But to move on from there, where was I at? Jeez Louise, I got to get in here.
Well, I want to expand on what you were just saying. When you were talking about the lawsuits and you were talking about the whole process that it's got to actually go through before it even gets passed into law, and then the lawsuits that are following, these individuals and anybody who wants to push this kind of thing needs to understand there's even another side to this. We're already the truck driver, the professional truck driver, is already looked down upon. In a lot of communities. There's a lot of communities that don't even want the trucks in them long enough to deliver or pick up and get out of their community. But what you're going to do is something like this, we're going to go with the $5 deal because that's kind of what's being pushed. But this $5 deal is going to, the rhetoric that they're pushing is going to be so loud that it's going to reach the communities everywhere, because the trickle down effect is not going to be, it's not going to come out of anybody's pocket except for the communities that we're serving. So now we already are having a hard time with communities, being respectful for the American or the professional truck driver out here. We're going to doubly make it difficult, because now the community is going to outright hate us when that $6 or $12 carton of eggs goes to $24 or $30. And why is that? Is because, the truck drivers say they deserve that $5 a mile or that $1 a mile.
They've earned it. That's what I hear.
They so-called earned it.
They've been out here 10 years. They've earned it.
Yeah.
So I've been out here 30 years. Does that mean that I get 3 times that much? Have you been out here 10 years?
That's not the way it works.
15? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
No. Well, yeah. You and I both know how this industry works and what being a truck driver is actually about.
Like, come on.
But what you're doing is you're doubling down on the absolute hatred that the communities out here are going to have toward truck drivers. And if you look at, let's and I'm going to take a small train here for a minute, but you look at the flooding that took place over there in Tennessee and North Carolina.
Or the flooding that just happened over in Pacific Northwest that just went up there on Squamish Falls.
You had trucks going in that we were getting reports on a daily or almost hourly where tires were being slashed and trucks couldn't move, and trucks were being sabotaged and whatnot. And you're going to see that increase 20, 30, 40 fold, because now you have just made the working class blue collar man and woman who have struggled to keep their family afloat go down. They're going to sink like a rock in water. They're not going to be able to stay afloat. And it's going to, and the government's going to look right at them and say, blame the truck driver. They're the ones that wanted this.
Well, but hold on. You know the other thing that's going to happen with this? Have you read that there's nowhere in there that it states whether it's just for spot market rates or whether it's for contract freight.
Right.
And you know what? The one thing, because this was written by ChatGPT from a 2-year OTR driver, is that it doesn't state whether it doesn't.
I'm trying to be serious. You say 2 years, and I just want to die laughing.
It doesn't state though. Is this $5 a loaded mile, or is this $5 all miles? Because a lot of your contract freight, it's written off of an all mile, because what that is they're contracting you to go, I don't know, to take a load, we'll just say from Cincinnati, Ohio to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and come directly back.
Yeah.
And they want you directly back because they know they have another load that has to come right back out of there. And they go, okay, well, he should or she should be able to get to Chattanooga and get back up here the next morning and drop and hook and run right back down again. And so we're going to pay them $3 all mile or $2.90 a mile, all miles.
Right.
And mind you,
all miles.
Your empty miles coming back obviously are going to be better because you're running empty. You know, if you're not filling up, or if you decide, because you know you have time to do it, somewhere along the way you book a brokered load that goes back, and it might pay you like another $3 a mile because it's off the spot market board or whatever, or $2.50 or something along those lines. So now you'll make a little more money. But if you do this $5 a mile and it has to be that for all miles, now you just took contract freight and put it at $10 a mile loaded miles, because a lot of these contracts are wrote on round trip.
Yeah.
Round trip.
Right. Yeah.
That's why when you look at some of them, it's literally round trip. So where you're going to pay $5 a mile, all miles. Are you nuts?
It's not going to happen.
Are you nuts? But this is the problem though. But this is the education side.
Yeah.
There's nothing written in the son of a gun freaking thing that he wrote, that Jarvis, the ChatGPT wrote. There's nothing in there that states anything about how this $5 a mile, what it affects. Is it just every load that's out there in America? Because if that's the case, you literally just took contract freight and you're paying $5 a mile on miles.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what's going to happen with that? Nobody's going to sign. Shippers are not signing contract freight on that shit.
No.
You can forget about it.
No, they're not.
And you know what they'll probably say to that one is, well, good, then it all hits the load board. No, not so good. No, not so good. I hate to tell you this, not so good. It's really not, because you're putting mega carriers for sure into competition with single truck operators hitting a load board. You know,
right.
And basically what's going to happen there is they'll gobble up every single truck operator. They will, because as the load board goes, they'll come right back in. Done. It'll never work. But see, this is you're following and listening to people, one, that have never been carriers. Two, they've only got 2 years in the OTR world. Like
let's just say
I didn't know shit about apple butter until I was in this industry for 15 years.
Let's just say under 10, because now
I'm still learning 15 years into it.
Yeah.
At that point, I finally got comfortable.
I'm still learning today.
Well, no, I'm saying I finally got comfortable with the amount of knowledge that I had to feel comfortable enough to hold an intelligent conversation with somebody about what was going on, because I had experienced so much at that point. At 5 years, I hadn't experienced that much. Yeah, okay, I drove through a few winters. I parked a few trucks in some crazy dock positions. But other than that, like, I was still trying to figure out the whole business of the side of it. You know,
think about the trucking, your first years of trucking, the first, and you and I go back decades. You and I have been out here for decades. Your first 5-10 years, you're getting accustomed to trucking. You're learning the routines, you're learning the industry, you're learning the lifestyle. But when you're young, it's literally freedom to do it. You're not giving really two craps about anything that's going on inside the industry. You might be learning, you might be listening to the old drivers, you're listening to the stories, you're listening to advice, but you're not even caring about stepping up and going, hey, we're going to fight for it. No, because at that point you're still experiencing 48 continental states and the freedom that you're going in and out of every single one of these things. There's so much to see, so much to do. You're enjoying trucking, but you're listening. For me, I was 20 years in before I finally started realizing, okay, I've got enough information and I've learned a lot and I've self-educated. So it's time to kind of start stepping into the limelight, because I'm seeing some of the same revolving doors with these associations and groups and how they're built and how they're done.
Well,
and I try to do it a very much different way, but you have to think intellectually. Everything has to be intellectual. If you go by feelings, dude, oh my word.
Think about this though. Hold on. We all know that trucking is cyclical, right?
Yeah,
trucking is cyclical. Every 4 to 5 years, basically, is how the wave gets ridden, right?
Yeah.
You haven't even hit a full cycle is basically about 10 years.
Yeah.
Because you got 5 years of your high, 5 years on the low, and another 5 years of the high. And a lot happens as you're riding that wave.
Yeah.
A lot happens as you ride that wave. So you ain't even finished a fourth of the cycle in 2 years.
Yeah.
You're only 20% into this bullshit.
Yeah, you haven't even gotten to the top of the first wave.
You know what I'm saying? You haven't seen the high.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the low, and you haven't seen the other high. Like, I can tell you right now.
Well, and that's the thing is we're seeing.
I was out of the industry back when the crash happened in 08, 09. I wasn't involved in it anymore. Because why? Everybody was getting laid off. Nobody was really doing nothing. Look, I literally went, look, I need something more stable. At the time, I was paying child support and stuff. I needed something more stable than what I had.
Yeah.
There was no stability in that. So, I'm not going to stay trucking. I'm going to go somewhere else at that time. Well, if you've never felt that part of that wave where it's way down here, and then because I felt the wave when it's way up here, way down here, way up here.
Absolutely.
And I know where it's at, because it's cyclical in this industry, man. It's cyclical. It takes time. The economy has to do with stuff. Inflation has to do with stuff. The different,
Absolutely.
what do we call them? Rules and regulations that the freaking government puts down affects us.
Agreed.
Like in 2017, when they did the ELD mandate came in, we had a lot of drivers that said, you know what, I don't want to mess with the ELDs. I'm out of here. So that helped move rates up because capacity changed. Then there were some of them that came back in. So it kind of did this. And then this is where if you're looking at stuff and people, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not saying that everybody that's experienced knows what they're doing, but with experience comes wisdom and knowledge if they pay attention.
Absolutely.
Because there's, you can either, how's that saying go? A smart man learns from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from others.
Yeah.
Well, if you've been around for 30 years or 20 years or something like that, or 10 years, you've been around for a little bit to be able to pay attention to some of what other mistakes have been made.
That's
you're
the thing
talking
right
to
there.
other people, So yeah, there's that. This 2 year, I don't know how many people that have asked me, how in the heck did he get in that position? I don't know. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but it's like, I don't know why everybody's over there doing it, other than the fact
Well, listen, I'm not going to, I will
to
never
move on from
go
where
over
we're
there.
at. Well, I'm just going to move on from it, to be honest, because we're spending too much time on that bullshit, to be honest.
Well, and we're running into our
hour, so I'm going to try to finish this up.
Our hour.
To move forward here, security and vetting failures and why surprise tactics backfire. Because the government, you're not going to surprise. Mm-hmm. You're not, you might show up there, but you're going to do just like you did. You're going to stand out there and freeze your butt off while you yell, no different than like you've seen with the megaphones and stuff. You can do that all you want to. They don't care. I hate to tell you all this.
Oh, they're used to it.
Well, no. If you go and look at any of the way any of these buildings have been made, they're almost soundproof to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally have it to where that if you're standing outside that fence over there, you can't hear, if you're in the building, you can't hear anything over there. That's the reason why the doors and windows are closed. One of the other reasons is those buildings are designed to where that they can close them if they need to and run off of a ventilation system to remove any biological weapons that might be being pushed. If you think the government hasn't done this stuff, you need a reality check. So to think that because you stood out there and to think that because, the government or the president heard me because I was 25 yards away from him. All he did was hear you yelling at him and go,
if you heard it.
Well, and why can't you make an appointment? That'd be like somebody coming over here and yelling at me outside of my house.
Right.
I mean, what? Why didn't you just call me, dog, and try to say, hey, man, you going to be around so we can talk? And instead you stood down at the end of the driveway and took a megaphone and was like, we need to talk. Why didn't you just pick up the phone? I mean, sorry I wasn't home, bro. Yeah, I'm watching you through my Arlo on my phone right now. That'd be
it's got to be, it's the show.
You know what? It's
the show. It's about drama. It's about
like,
drama.
Come on, But then, so the next one, into that one, how groups get flagged. And the difference between a protest and a policy engagement. What he did wasn't even a protest, nor was it a policy engagement. Policy engagements where you actually sit down with somebody and hold a face-to-face conference with them. Right. Protest, you actually have more than what he wasn't even really protesting. He's over there begging for help. That's not a protest.
Right.
That's not, and it's one, maybe two people.
Right.
And then to get in here, this one's the biggest one, and I've talked about this a few times. The time and resources wasted. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we put a video up there on our TikTok about it because, look, now I don't know if they got a load going from where they were over to the DC area to help pay for that. I don't know. The way it sounded to me as if they were driving that all on their own. Like basically it was all the expenses were coming directly out of their pocket. And you, for what? To go stand outside Washington, D.C., to go stand out a building and yell through a megaphone or at the top of your lungs at a government official in hopes and a wing and a prayer that they would break protocol and allow
Well, I
them.
have my own opinions
Well,
on why
my
they
thing of it
did what
is
they
this.
did, and that's my opinions, but
Well, but my thing
y
is why though? Why would we waste that kind of time and resources? One, you burned up a crap ton of diesel fuel. Okay, so I don't know how that's going to work on your IFTA reporting. So you're going to wind up you're paying taxes on all that diesel or car. I don't know whether he took a
absolutely.
truck or a car, whatever it was. If he took his car, you don't
Right,
have to do
right.
the IFTA. But either way, he took the other thing of it is this: you literally took time away from your family
Mhm.
on a situation that you literally go through, and there's no way you're meeting the president. There's no way you're
Right,
meeting the vice president.
right.
Why? This is the thing though. Why would you do all that if you? I mean, how did you not know? And this isn't the first go around for them. But this is no
No.
different than like May Day that happened. What was that? 5 years
Yeah,
ago, May Day that happened,
yeah,
or when we did the Nadra thing,
yeah.
and we sent all of the freaking trucks
Well,
over there
Nadra
to. But hold on.
well,
What I'm saying
Nadra was
is
a little different.
it's a little different. But what
Nadra
I'm
was a
saying
little
is
different.
we literally what I was going to go with that is we send all
Yeah,
of these trucks over there, and what were they going to
yeah.
do? They were going to go get dumpsters and throw every one of
Yeah,
them in
they were gonna
dumpsters.
go throw them in the dumpster.
Instead of taking the toys and donating them to like Toys for Tots or something like that, they
Right.
were
Yeah,
this. What I'm trying to get at is this is how much they don't give a shit.
yeah.
This is how
If you
much they
don't do
don't
it the
care.
right way,
We
it's
went to
never gonna
May Day happened, and nobody got a thing out of May Day.
no.
We sent the trucks up there to Washington D.C. and what
Yeah,
happened? They literally instead of giving them to kids that could have used them and would have probably loved to have had something to play with for Christmas because I
yeah,
know I look there's a MC around here. They do the Christmas ride every year um,
yeah.
around here in the Springfield area, and you know all the toys go over there to the kids that are not that
Right.
fortunate or come from families not as fortunate, I should say.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just a way to help out. You got to show up with a
Right.
toy for a kid or a donation of some sort, and it all goes to help the kiddos out. And we usually every year we're on the news, the whole ride is on the news. And then you go through and you also have like they do a semi truck full of toys and then it all
Right,
gets
right.
distributed. There's another MC that I know of that does it up in Greenville. They stand up on the screen, the square up there or the roundabout, and they do the same thing. Did you see
Right.
the government do that? No. This just shows how much the government don't care. Even with us doing this to try to get some sort of traction and attention from them, and
Right.
we're literally just going to take them and throw them away. It's no different than the
Yeah.
last time that he went to DC. He went up there to try. Look, dude, you didn't make an appointment. They're not going to see you. Once
Yeah.
again, we do it
Yeah.
again here. I mean, what we had the slow rolls that happened over,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah. I
they
remember
did
those too.
one. I think we did one around Indianapolis. I know I was involved in that one. I think they did a slow roll around DC. What was that, like 6 years ago? When the slow roll around
Something
DC?
like that. I know there was one across I-40 during COVID too.
Yep, yep. There was that one.
There's been I was actually a part of that one, but yeah, I don't think we broke 40 miles an hour. We kept it at the bare minimum speed limit, and I mean it didn't affect anything. Nothing stopped. Nothing got done. It was
No, all
all
that
done
happened was
wrong,
a waste
and
of
this is
resources,
yeah,
a
it's
waste of
exactly what it
resources,
was. It
and a
was a
waste
waste
of
of
time.
resources.
Because trust me, I'm
Uh,
just as guilty. I did the slow rolls too. I
yeah,
took time
yeah. So
away.
did I.
I didn't make any money.
Yep.
But the thing of it
Nope.
is this is you would think after the first couple of times, this is where that statement that I just said, smart man learns from his own mistakes and a wise man learns from others. How is it that
That's
some of us,
and
like you, me, few other, ones that we've talked to and stuff that have been around for 30 years, and we say, look, buddy, I hate to
it
tell you
didn't
this,
work.
but what you're doing there, we've tried that. It didn't go nowhere. I mean, what Mayday had like what 2,000 trucks or something like that, or 1,000
Yeah,
trucks that
something like
rolled up
that.
into DC. They still didn't do
Yeah, something
nothing.
like that.
Yeah, they still
No.
didn't do nothing. The thing of it is this: if you want the government to make changes, you got to know how to play the game. So educate
Well,
yourself,
and you
learn
gotta
how they
and
play the game.
ex exactly, but you also gotta take all the failures that we've had in the industry, our own personal failures, the failures of organizations before us. You've gotta look at every single one of them and pinpoint where the failures were and make those changes. And I'm not going to guarantee it, but I believe with all the communication that we've got inside this group, I believe that we've seen those errors. I believe between yourself, Pablo, myself, Laura, we're always looking at what was and taking the wrongs and the way things went wrong, correcting them and putting them into where we are today. This is why we're big on the education. This is why we're big on the accountability. This is why we're big on accountability for ourselves, for, looking at interior in the industry, at the actual truck drivers, and saying, listen, we need to start here long before we go to Trump, before we go to the head of the FMCSA, before we go to the Secretary of Department of Transportation. Because if the fix is interior, and we can get the accountability there and get the bar raised interior, by the time that we get to these people that we really want to that take notice and make real change with, they're going to look at us and go, wow, let's have a conversation, because they're going to see what's been done on the interior. They're going to see that progress has been moved forward, that the bar is being raised, that the level of professionalism, knowledge, and education is being raised.
They're also going to look at these guys that are doing, and they're going, well, what have you submitted anything? Have you sent anything to FMCSA for rulemaking procedures? Have you done any of that stuff? Like, have you, because, you can write all the acts that you want. You can write all of the bills that you want. They're all great, grand, and good. To be honest, the reason why I named ours the Act was actually kind of just to make fun of all the other bullshit. It should have been more named the FOPT outline, because that's what we actually called it when it was still an internal document before the intellectual property was stolen and given away.
Yeah.
So it was more of an outline, but I did that to make fun of the other bullshit, to be real honest.
Right.
I did it. It was whatever. I'll take it. I love accountability. I did it. Well, get over it. So, you know what I mean? Like, but see, are they writing any of that stuff? Nah, I haven't seen anybody. Well, take that back. I know someone. I think it was a group called the Federation of Professional Truckers, has submitted 3 more rulemaking procedures. We're playing their game.
Yeah,
they're playing Monopoly
smartly.
We're playing Monopoly
smartly.
I've sat down at the table with them. I'm learning their process and procedures better and better every day as we go. This is what we want done. Okay, we'll play that game. I'm not going to sit here. You know what? If you want to play chess, I'm not playing checkers, baby. We're going to get rid of the red and the blacks, and we're going to start putting some pawns and bishops and rooks and, knights, queen, and a king on the table here. Okay? We're going to start playing. I'll play chess with you. Let's sit down here. You might think we're pawns, but I hate to tell you this one. I've seen a lot of chess games be won with just a pawn.
Absolutely.
So you better remember what you do, But see, that's the thing. This is where, you have to play that game. If they're going to do it, you have to play that game, and this is where, like, the personality-driven fragmentation bullshit that's going on with the same thing, because that's what it is. It's literally, look at me, and if you don't agree with what I got to say, I'm going to block you.
Right.
Okay. Well, whatever. So it's basically, you can't, you're once, and what you've decided that you think needs to be done has no merit to stand on. Okay. Well, that's what it should. Because if you can't argue how that it's going to benefit and change any of this stuff in the industry, what merit does it have? Because all it's doing is changing money. How many other problems we got in the industry? I mean, we recognized 15? You have the 1099 abuse that goes on, the human trafficking that goes on, the lease purchase predatory stuff that goes on, the lumper fee issue, the detention or lack thereof that gets paid for a lot of these companies that show up, the hours of service,
revolving door, the revolving door,
the lack of education in both carriers, new carriers, and new truckers. There's a lack of education. There is nothing monetary that fixes any of that shit.
No.
And I hear this, and I don't want to hear anybody, because I heard this nonsense, and I'm going to put this one out here for everybody to hear. When people try to say that, well, if we raise these rates, we're going to get all these great drivers to come back into the industry.
No, you're
There's
not.
10 million CDL holders, or roughly around 10 million if you look it up. That hold them. Those that includes Class A, Class B, and Class C. It doesn't differentiate between what classes. I can tell you, I looked them up the one day during the live. There's 315,000 school bus drivers.
Yeah.
There's about the same amount of diesel mechanics. There's about the same amount of like firefighters. There's about the same amount of what was it? What was the other? Oh, heavy equipment operators.
Right.
So 1.2, I think it figures up to a little over 1.2 or right around 1.2 million CDL holders, or I should say maybe individuals in that industry, or in those four industries. And those industries required drive a school bus, got to have Class B CDL.
Right. Right.
To be a diesel mechanic, you could be a Class B, but they prefer a Class A. I know a lot of times if you do come in as a Class B, they will pay for you to get your Class A. You know, it's kind of one of those things, further education, further training for the position. Heavy equipment operators all usually have to have a Class A. Why? Most of their equipment is hauled on a day cab or sleeper cab with a, like either a 2 or 3 or 4 axle double drop or RGN or whatever you want to call that, trailer. I've heard people call it, a bunch. So, and depending on how heavy the equipment is, does it have is it a triaxle with a stinger, or is it whatever? But you still got to have a Class A to operate it, to get your bulldozer, to get your pans, to get whatever it is, get the equipment to the job site.
Right.
This doesn't even include all the people that actually work on the highways.
Right.
How many of these men and women that work for the state in the highway departments of the states that are out there plowing the roads every winter, or they're out there, they use some of their own trucks to pave some of these roads or to make patches and stuff. And that wasn't even included in the 1.2 million, the state employees. So, and I think there's like something, I think in the ballpark of like almost a 500,000. I think 500,000 or 750,000 of state employees. I could be wrong. Somebody, I'm sure, will fact check me and they'll probably put it in there, and that's fine. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'm trying to remember a number. Okay, so do people actually think all of these people in these positions? Do you think the firefighters are going to start coming to drive semi? Do you literally think that the school bus drivers are going to start coming to drive semi? Do you think the diesel mechanics are going to quit wrenching on the trucks to come drive semi? Come on, folks. Just because there's 10 million CDL holders, you have to think there's many positions outside of over-the-road truck drivers or LTL truck drivers that are out there that hold a CDL position. It's a requirement.
Well, that and nobody, not everybody in this world is cut out for being gone for a week, 2 weeks.
No, a lot of these are local positions too.
They're making good money and they're home every week and they're happy with that, and they're not going to leave to go, be home with their, most of these people are homebodies. They love being home every night. They love being home every weekend. It's
a little bit of a different lifestyle, Matt. Being over the road truck driver it's a lifestyle.
Absolutely. I agree with
driver, that's kind of more. I'm not trying to take away from their position, but it's kind of more of along the lines of like a factory type position. You go in, you eat, a lady I used to date, her brother worked for ABF. He held a Class A CDL. Some days he worked the dock. Some days he drove a truck. He was kind of more of a floater for them. I've got a buddy I went to high school, works for FedEx. Some days he works the docks. Some days he drives truck. He just got his Class A here not too long ago through their program. But it's more of a, and I'm not trying to discount it. I'm just trying to say it's a different lifestyle. You're home every night. You go to work. You do your job. I hope you enjoy what you do. I hope you're, doing well. If you enjoy it, then that's fine. Yeah. But I'm just saying it's a different lifestyle to be gone for 3 or 4 weeks at a time and living in your truck and being in a new town every night, or maybe 2 nights in a row because you're at a truck stop over the weekend to deliver on Monday. But you know what I'm saying? If we're over the road, we all know what it is. It's a different lifestyle. You're not going to get these people that don't live that lifestyle now to come live that lifestyle. If you think they don't, some of them know. I mean, I know a guy that's a heavy equipment operator. He was an OTR driver for like 6 or 7 years. And then he decided to go back to school to become a heavy equipment operator. And now that's what he does. He still has his Class A. He still drives a truck. Sometimes he's driving a dump truck. Sometimes he's driving a dump truck with a freaking Bobcat or something on the back. Sometimes he's actually driving a day cab with a triaxle double drop with a stinger, you know, a fourth axle stinger that's got a dozer on the back of it. It varies. Right. But why? Because he doesn't want to be over the road anymore. He enjoys being home with his family. He enjoys being home with his kids. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You used over the road trucking to get your feet wet, to get your knowledge, to get your experience.
As a stepping stone.
And then you just, you knew that this was going to be something you had to have to get into the position you wanted to be. I do not begrudge anybody that does that, because we all have dreams. We all have aspirations. We all have an idea of what we want to be at some point in our life. To some of that, it's like you and I. We love driving a truck. We love being over the road 3 to 4 weeks out. It's we enjoy it. There's others, like the friend I just spoke about. He didn't mind being over the road, but then he used it as a way to become more of what he wanted to be. He enjoyed operating equipment and stuff like that. I know a lot of guys that use flatbed for that. They'll go to work for like TMC or something like that. Learn how to operate the RGN. Learn how to operate different equipment, because there's times you are loading dozers and pans and excavators and booms and stuff like that. So what do? Right. They go through, they learn that, they get that aspect. Then the next thing you know, they save up money over those 5 or 6, 7 years. Now they have money to go to school to get their heavy equipment operator license. Nothing wrong with that. It's just you're not going to get these people to come back into the industry just because you think you're going to pay them $1 a mile or $5 a mile.
They're not going to give up. They're not going to give up where they've gotten to in life just to come chasing back. It's not going to happen, because anybody who's got any lack of or any sensibility and intelligence is going to sit there and go, well, if they can boost it, they can take it. So what's the sense? If I'm happy where I am and I'm happy doing what I do, I'm just going to stay where I'm at, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But with that being said, brother, I hate to cut our second.
No, but we would have been almost an hour and a half here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Hey, I did pretty good this time. I didn't chase too many rabbit holes.
No. We did actually pretty good. Dude, congratulations. You stayed kind of on the train tracks.
I got 21 inches of monitor right here. I kept looking back over. We're going to train the old dog eventually.
There you go. I've got to get my butt down to Fort Worth by morning, and
you do. Yeah,
I guess and then we're gonna hook up and get a load and get back here and be home for Christmas. First holiday home all year, so hey, you have yourself a great night, brother. It has always been a pleasure talking to you. And ladies and gentlemen, listen, if you have a question, put it out to us. We the FOPT at gmail.com. Don't be afraid to come in and ask a question. Look for some answers. If we can't give you the answer, we'll send you to somebody that can. Look forward to seeing you next time. Until next episode, have yourselves a great night.
Have a good night, everybody. Be safe out there, Matt.
Absolutely, bud.
Thanks for rolling with us on the new Trucking Standard, brought to you by the Federation of Professional Truckers. From our seats to the nation we serve, stay safe out there and keep on trucking.